see you. I was so excited when I got your phone call about the recipes and cooking stuff. You know how much I love to talk about that kind of thing. But you didn't say on the phone what your rush is. What's the occasion? Oh, someone's coming into town. Is it anybody I know? Oh, she's coming? Oh, that'll be great. I'm sure you guys will have a good time. So you just want to make a nice dinner for her when she comes? Okay, well that's really nice. I'm sure she'll enjoy it. Well, after we got off the phone, I started thinking about some recipes and some ideas. So I grabbed my cookbook. So why don't we go sit down in the kitchen and we'll see what we can come up with. Okay, let's go. Okay, so I've got a little piece of paper here and I'm just gonna make some notes for you as we go. So, what do you have in mind so far? Any ideas? Get a starting place. Okay, just something nice. So, do you want to kind of go all out and do, everything, an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert? Yeah? Okay. Well, that's good. I think that's the way to go. Okay, so let's see. I like this book because it has a whole section for just holiday dinners. And that's what this is, so that's perfect. Set this here for now. So let's just flip through and see if anything jumps out at us. I'm thinking, since it's wintertime and it's chilly out, maybe your appetizer can be a soup of some kind. Does that sound good? Okay. I think I have one in mind. I've made this before and it's wonderful. Let me see if I can find it. There's a picture of it. Oh, here it is. So I'll turn this around so you can see it. You see that? This is an acorn squash soup, and it's really delicious. And I love this picture. I love the whole sort of holiday scene that they've set for the picture, but this is a really good sort of appetizer soup. It's very rich and tasty, a little bit sweet. So, how does this one sound? Do you think you want to try that? Okay, alright, I'll write that down and I'll find the recipe. Okay, so appetizer. Acorn squash soup. And let's see. Oh, the recipe's on page 294. And when we're done, you can take this book with you and just use the recipes yourself. So I'll put the page number here for you. Okay. Now, for your main dish, any ideas? You want to go for, I don't know, beef or chicken? Chicken, okay. That's always a safe bet. Let's see what we can find. Oh, these are really good. This is a great one and it's really pretty too. It's a great presentation. This is chicken alouette, I think is how you pronounce it. And it's a chicken breast sort of wrapped in a pastry shell and baked. Delicious. So here it is on this page too. Looks really delicious, doesn't it? several of them on a bed of, I think, kale leaves for a nice pretty presentation. Yeah. Okay. So, you think this is the route you want to go for your main course? Okay. Let's see. Main course. Chicken alouette. Did I spell that right? Yes. And that recipe is on page 295. Okay. And now the most important is the dessert. That's my favorite. So do you think you want to go with something chocolatey or more light, fruity? What do you think? Looks like this is a picture of some fudge and I think that's pecan brittle. Yeah, maybe something a little bit more special than that. What else? These all look really tasty. These are cheesecakes and cookies. Oh, you know what? I have an idea. I want to show you this. This is one of my favorites. It's pretty easy to make. Looks great. Here it is. Now this is an apricot mousse. I'll show you. Doesn't that look beautiful? Yeah, it's a mousse in the middle, and all around it are little lady fingers. And it's got little apricot slices on it and whipped cream. Yeah, it's really good. And it's not too heavy. It's kind of light, but still sweet and delicious and satisfying. What do you think of this one? Yeah, okay. Let's go for it. I'll write that one down. I have to find the recipe though. Okay. Dessert is apricot mousse. And the recipe is on 296. Oh, that's perfect. So you've got page 294 for your acorn squash soup, page 295 for your chicken alouette, and then page 296 for your apricot mousse. So, just 3 pages you have to remember. Okay, let's go check out the recipe for the acorn squash soup. So, 294. Here it is. Put this aside. Okay. So, have you ever made a soup before? Okay, well, I think this one is pretty easy. So, you're gonna need a few things though. You're going to need some acorn squash. Now, this recipe says 4. I think this, let's see. Okay, yeah, this yields 8 servings. And that's probably much more than you would need. You only need 2 servings. do, let's... Well, do you want to have some left over? Yeah, it's always good to have leftovers. Okay. So what I recommend is for you to just cut this recipe in half. Okay. So, but I'll read you the recipe as is. Just remember to cut the recipe in half. I'll write that down for you, so you don't forget. So you don't want to have soup for 8 people. That'll last you forever. Okay. Half recipe for acorn squash soup. That way you'll have enough for both of you and a little bit left over. Okay. So, this says you need 4 acorn squash, 3 carrots sliced, 1 onion sliced, a 1/3 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of butter or margarine, a tablespoon of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of pepper, about 14 ounces of chicken broth, half a cup of sherry, half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1/8 teaspoon of paprika, a dash of ground allspice, a dash of red pepper, 1 cup of half and half, 1.5 tablespoons of sherry. Didn't I already say sherry? No, that might be for something else. Okay. Kale leaves and paprika. Okay, yeah, the kale leaves and paprika are for just kind of garnishing at the end. Okay, so now let's look at the instructions. Before we do that though, is there anything, do you have everything on here? I can lend you something if you need anything. All-purpose flour. Yes, yeah, I have a bag. Yeah, of course, there's no problem. Let me just grab it real quick. Yeah. Think that'll work? Yeah, this is a big one. It's a 5-pound bag, and you... all you need is a tablespoon for this recipe, so... yeah, I think this should be fine. Yeah, this will be plenty. Just, yeah, you can bring it back to me. I don't know, next week sometime. Whenever. And, you know, feel free to use as much as you need for this recipe. Not a lot, but if you want to make something else, you're more than welcome to hang on to the bag. I've got plenty. This is all-purpose flour. Cool. Okay, so I'll give this to you. Here you go. I set it down here for you. Okay. And what else do you need? You've got everything else? Okay. Cool. Now, I've got some chicken broth that I made myself. It's kind of nicer than the store-bought kind. Would you like some of that? Okay, yeah, I'll grab it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I just like to keep this around for soup bases and whatnot. It's always handy. You're more than welcome to use this. And it'll be probably a little bit better tasting and better for you than just a can of the stuff at the store. A lot less sodium. And that about 14 ounces, so I don't think this is quite 14. So you might need to still buy a little bit, but you're welcome to use this also. Okay, and do you have, at home, do you have a wooden spoon? Okay, well, I will lend you my favorite one. No, it's okay, I don't need it right now. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely a handy thing to have around, so you should get one if you can sometime. But yeah, this is good for, especially for soups. It's a good stirring spoon, and I always like to take a little bit and taste. I don't remember where I got this. I had it for a really long time, but it served me well, and it's very big and sturdy. I don't like the really little wooden spoons with the thin handle. I like them to be able to withstand extreme cooking. Yeah, I've used it a lot, so the wood's a little bit worn down right here. Okay, so you'll need this. Let's see what the instructions say. So you're going to cut the squash in half lengthwise and remove the seeds. Place squash cut side down in a broiler pan. Do you have a broiler pan? Okay, good. Add hot water to pan to a depth of 1 inch. Bake at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Spoon pulp from squash halves to create 8 bowls, reserving pulp. Now, of course, you're only going to have 2 bowls. You don't need 8. Yeah, what's cool about this recipe is that you, if you want to, you don't have to, but you can serve the soup inside of the sort of shells of the squash. It makes a little bowl, and it's a nice little presentation. I would recommend doing it if you want it to look nice. Okay, place carrot and onion in a saucepan. Cover with water. Bring to a boil, cover, reduce heat, and simmer 15 minutes or until vegetables are tender. In my experience, you might want to go a little bit over 15 minutes. If you're simmering, just to get them really nice and tender. And then drain the vegetables and combine them with reserved pulp and a 1/3 cup of water in the container of an electric blender or food processor. Do you have a blender? Okay, good. Process for 30 seconds or until mixture is smooth. Set aside. Melt butter in a large Dutch oven over low heat. What you can do for that is use a pot of water. Just get a pot of water on the stove and heat it on low. And once it's started to heat up, you can put your butter in a bowl and set it over the top of the pot. And melt the butter that way. It's better than doing it in the microwave because you'll usually just get a big bowl of liquid butter. So if you have a glass bowl, just set that over the boiling water and melt your butter like that. Okay, so add flour. Salt and pepper, stirring until smooth. That's where this will come in. Cook 1 minute, stirring constantly. Gradually add pureed vegetable mixture, chicken broth, and the next 5 ingredients. So all the spices and everything. Bring to a boil. Cover, reduce heat, and simmer for an hour, stirring occasionally. Stir in half and half, and if desired, 1½ tablespoons of sherry. Cook until heated. And it says, if desired, serve squash shells on a bed of kale and sprinkle with paprika. And that gets that nice little, I don't know, it gives it a little extra flair. It looks really nice on the table. Okay, so does that all make sense? It's pretty straightforward. It's not difficult at all. It just takes about an hour and a half or so to make it. Okay, great. Make sure not to forget this when you leave. Okay, here it is, the chicken alouette. So for this recipe, you're going to need a package of frozen puff pastry sheets, and you want to thaw them out, and then a container of garlic and spice flavored alouette cheese. If you can't find that, or if you prefer, you can actually sub in some chive and onion flavored cream cheese. That will do the trick as well. So about a half a cup or so. So now this recipe calls for 6 skinned and boned chicken breast halves, but you are not going to need that many because it's just the 2 of you. So again, maybe cut this recipe in half as well. So I'll write that down. Cut it in half, or just do 2 chicken breasts. So half recipe for chicken alouette. Okay. You'll also need some salt, pepper, 1 egg beaten, and a tablespoon of water, and kale leaves for garnish if you want. I liked how in the picture they were sort of set on a little bed of kale leaves. It was pretty. Now, you need to beat an egg for this recipe. Do you have a whisk? If you don't have a whisk, you can use a fork to beat the egg, and that'll work pretty good. But well, would you like to borrow mine? Okay, let me grab it. Okay, yep, this will work just fine. So you can take this with you and just, you know how to beat an egg. It's not hard, but it's good to have a whisk. Okay, so let's look at the instructions. It says, unfold pastry sheets and roll each sheet into a rectangle on a lightly floured surface. Okay, so you're gonna need some flour for this one as well. So you have that bag, you'll have plenty. Let's see. Cut 1 sheet into 7 by 6 inch rectangles, and cut the second sheet into 7 by 6 inch rectangles, and one 12 by 6 inch rectangle. So for that, with the pastry sheets, you're going to need to roll them out with a rolling pin. Do you have one of those? No? Okay, that's fine. I have one. Let me go get it. One sec. Okay. This is a miniature one, but it'll still work just fine, I think, for what you're doing. Okay, then it says, set large rectangle aside. Shape each small rectangle into an oval by trimming off the corners. So you're going to roll them out and make little rectangles. And then with the smaller ones, you're going to cut the corners off to make an oval. And then it says, spread pastry ovals evenly with cheese. Sprinkle chicken breast halves with salt and pepper, and place one in the center of each pastry oval. Lightly moisten the pastry edges with water. Fold ends over chicken. fold sides over, and press to seal. Place each bundle seam side down on a lightly greased baking sheet. Do you have a baking sheet? Okay, good. And it says, cut remaining large pastry rectangle into 12 by 1/4 inch strips, so long strips. Braid 2 strips together and place crosswise over chicken bundles, trimming and reserving excess braid. Braid 2 additional strips and place lengthwise over bundle, trimming and tucking ends under. That's just going to make it look really pretty, like in the picture. Repeat procedure with remaining strips. Cover and refrigerate for up to 2 hours if desired. So then after that 2 hours is up is when you want to beat the egg and add a tablespoon of water to the egg. And then you're going to brush the egg wash over the little bundles that you've made. And then you're going to bake those at 400 and make sure it's on the lower oven rack. So do that for 25 minutes, but keep an eye on them. Watch them to see when they turn kind of a golden brown color. That's going to be when they're ready, but it should be about 25 minutes. And that's it. Pretty simple. It's a little bit involved if you want to do the little pastry braiding, but I think it's worth the extra time because it's a really pretty little detail. It's going to make it look really nice. Okay, so you've got your rolling pin now. Okay. Next, the dessert. So what did we say? Oh, the apricot mousse on 296. Let's turn the page. Here it is. This one's going to be fun. So for this, you're going to need 20 ladyfingers, 3 cans of apricot halves, 16 ounce cans, undrained. You want them to have the juice stuff in it because you're going to use that. 2 envelopes of unflavored gelatin, 5 egg yolks, 1 1/4 cups of sugar divided, 1/8 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of apricot brandy or light rum. Now this says you need a package of slivered almonds. Personally, I always skip that because it's just to sprinkle on the top. And anyway, I don't like putting almonds in or any kind of nuts in my dessert, so you can if you want. I like to skip it just because I don't care for it. Then you need 1 1/2 cups of whipping cream plus 3/4 cups of whipping cream, 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, an 1/8 teaspoon of almond extract, and then for garnish you can use some more apricots or fresh mint is always really nice on top. So whatever you think. Okay, so let's read the instructions. To start, you're going to cut a 30 by 3 inch strip of wax paper. Do you have any wax paper? Okay, yep. You can definitely borrow some. Let me go grab it. Okay. Here we go. This is just plain old wax paper. Just pull it out of there and cut it along the edge. Okay. So you're gonna need this. So a 30 by 3 inch strip of wax paper, and then line the sides of a 9 inch springform pan with a strip. Split lady fingers in half lengthwise. Line sides and bottom of pan with the lady fingers. Set aside. So now it says, drain apricots, reserving half a cup of juice. So remember to hang on to about a half a cup of the juice that's in the can, because you're going to use that later. Place knife blade in bowl of food processor. Add remaining apricots and process 1 minute or until mixture is smooth. Set aside. Next, sprinkle gelatin over reserved 1/2 cup of apricot juice and set aside. Combine egg yolks, 3/4 cup of sugar, and salt in a heavy saucepan. Gradually add milk. Cook over medium heat, stirring constantly for 4 minutes or until the mixture thickens and thermometer reaches 160. Add softened gelatin, stirring until gelatin dissolves. Oops. Stir in pureed apricots, brandy, and slivered almonds, which I skip because I don't like them. Chill mixture until it's the consistency of an unbeaten egg whites, so about 30 minutes. And then it says, or I guess in the meantime you can be doing this. You want to beat 1.5 cups of whipping cream until it's foamy. Then gradually add remaining 1/2 cup of sugar, beating until soft peaks form. And then fold whipped cream into apricot mixture, spoon into the prepared pan, and chill the mixture for 8 hours. Remove ring from springform pan and remove wax paper. Beat 3/4 cup of whipping cream until foamy and gradually add powdered sugar and almond extract, beating until soft peaks form. Pipe or dollop on top of the mousse. And then slice the reserved apricots and arrange on the whipped cream, which it showed in the picture. And that's it. Now this is going to be a pretty big dessert, but you should make the whole thing because it'll be nice to have around. It makes about 8 to 10 servings, so you can have a lot. Okay. Now, how are you with measuring spoons and measuring cups? Do you have all that? You do have spoons? Okay, well I've got a measuring cup here if you want to borrow it. It's just a really basic plastic one, nothing too special, but it'll get the job done. And it is 4.5 cups or 36 ounces. So this should work just fine. Okay, now let's talk about how you're going to sort of get everything done. So let's see, you've got the soup and the chicken and the mousse. Now you want to plan ahead for this so that you're not sort of scrambling to have it ready. So the day before she comes, you should go ahead and bake the acorn squash. Remember, you need to bake the squash for the soup. Do that the day before. And just hang on to it. Just put it aside. And then I'd say about 4 to 5 hours before you want to serve dinner, go ahead and make the chicken alouette and put it in the refrigerator so that you can kind of heat it up later. And then in the oven, go ahead and reheat the shells of the acorn squash to make the bowl. And then make the soup itself and keep it simmering for about an hour. And then course, with the dessert, that needs to chill in the fridge for 8 hours. So I would also go ahead and make that the day before, also, and just have it waiting in the fridge. And that'll be it. Okay. So we've got your nice holiday meal all planned out, and got all the stuff you need. I'll put this with your other items. And let's see, let's make sure you've got your notes right here. I'll fold this up for you. Okay. Alright. Well, that's for you. Here you go. Okay, well, I think that you've got everything you need. How do you feel about it? You feel okay? Alright, well, don't hesitate to call me if you have any questions about any of the recipes, okay? Alright. Well, I really hope you guys enjoy your meal. Call me sometime and let me know how everything turned out, okay? Alright. Well, have an awesome time, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Alright, doing good. I'm gonna move sides. Okay, look straight into the light for me. Good. How about you? Are you gonna be doing any cooking? Oh, that'll be nice.